Hi, this is Dr. Doug Cowan from the ADHD Information Library, and today I want to talk with you about our ADHD Diet, or our eating program, which is right here at the newideas.net website. Now, I developed this eating program several years ago, and it's been updated through the years as I've learned more about nutrition from the likes of Dr. David Nelson, who's really a brilliant nutritionist down in Southern California, and from several other good books on nutrition and brain performance and so on. So this ADHD diet has really helped hundreds of people, both from my practice once upon a time and really from people using it as they've seen it on the internet, read it on the internet. The information is completely free. I encourage you to try it, see if it works for you or not. So as we start, let me just say that if you or your child are struggling with ADHD, you need to understand this. No matter how effective your ADHD treatment intervention might be, if you or your child are eating a bunch of junk, your ADHD symptoms will likely not improve, or at least not as much as you'd like them to. No ADHD treatment, no matter how powerful, can overcome eating junk foods, especially foods high in sugars and carbohydrates, or foods with lots of chemicals added to them. Now, there are several good ways to treat ADHD. Stimulant medications, or some of the newer non-stimulant medications, the nutraceutical medication Attend, which we highly recommend along with its sister products like X-Stress, and EEG neurofeedback training. But you also have to eat in such a way as to optimize your brain's performance. So using this ADHD diet, it can help any of these treatment interventions work better. But if you eat junk, none of them are going to work very well. So here's our ADHD diet and our eating program for ADHD kids. It's not very strict like the Feingold diet. It's simpler by design so that more people will be likely to actually do it. But you will have to make some sacrifices. You'll have to make some changes in your life, like having to stop eating most of your meals at your local fast food restaurant. This program is recommended for every member of the family, not just for an ADHD diet for ADHD people. It's the same program that we've put athletes on, business executives who wanted to optimize their performance, and other people with really only minor changes. And I found that this ADHD diet makes a huge difference in about 20 or 25% of the people who try it. With kids or adults or whoever, even if not using any other intervention. The diet itself will help 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 people. I just strongly believe that whether you're using a medication like Ritalin or an intervention like Attend, that this type of eating program will play a big role in achieving success when you use it as part of your treatment plan. Now, the most common feedback that we get from parents is, well, it helped my kid a little bit, but I really feel great. And I found through the years that the results will fall into a bell curve, that you get some who get a day and night difference. It's just such great improvement that it's terrific. People write me, they love it, they think I'm smart. And then there are a few who are just completely unaffected at all by the diet. And most fall in the middle of this bell curve. Most of them, it helps some, but it's not enough to be the standalone intervention. But it will help whatever other intervention the person is using. Again, medication, Attend, or something like that. So we recommend that you try it. It may just be a big help to you and your family. It's worth trying to see if it works. Now, first, you have to find out what you're dealing with. You got to find out if there are some food sensitivities or some food allergies that are a part of the problem that you're dealing with here, not just ADD. Let me just say, ADD is not caused by a food allergy or food sensitivity. Those may cause other problems, we have to give it a different label, that may cause inattention, impulsivity, hyperactivity, even some temper outbursts. Those can all come from environmental toxins or food sensitivities. ADHD is a genetic disorder that's passed on from parents to kids and so on. But people with ADHD can still have food sensitivities that can make the issue worse. So it's okay to look and see what might be going on in your particular situation. You've got to explore that. So for 2 weeks, what you're going to do is you're going to stop eating certain foods. And then after 2 weeks, you're going to add these foods back into your diet, one at a time, maybe every 2 or 3 days, so you can keep track of it. And you'll go ahead and eat or drink a lot of that food, a lot of that drink, the milk or whatever at that time, and just see if you have any kind of a reaction to it. Now the reactions might include red splotches on the face or skin, bedwetting that comes out of nowhere, even temper tantrums are not uncommon. And you'll know within 4 days if there's a problem with a certain food or a certain drink or something. If you don't get a problem within those 4 days, well, it's okay. Go ahead and eat it if it's healthy for you. If you do get a problem with the food, just stop eating it. Don't eat it again. So anyway, what you want to do is find out what's going on with the foods, if they have any impact in your behavior or learning or interventions or whatever. So here we go. Here's what we're going to do. For 2 weeks, no dairy products, especially cow's milk. Now this is the single most important restriction. The American Pediatric Association thinks that there's a really significant percentage of children that are allergic to milk. And there's one European researcher who thinks that milk is really the cause of all ADHD problems. Now, we have a link to his website at the ADHD Information Library at newideas.net, Dr. Reich. But I don't agree with him that it's the root of all ADHD problems. But you know what? It does impact a number of people. So instead, you could try almond milk or rice milk, better than milk. And you know what? You do have to drink lots of water instead of milk during this 2-week period of time and beyond. Okay, no yellow foods, especially corn or squash. Bananas are white. I get asked that all the time. Can I eat bananas? Yes, they're white, but don't eat the peel. Some people have problems with stuff that makes these foods yellow. I don't know what the chemical's called. I forget what it's called, but there's something that makes these foods yellow, and there's a certain percentage of people that don't do that yellow natural coloring very good. No junk foods. If it comes in a cellophane wrapper, don't eat it. Just stop eating junk food, and your brain will work better. Junk foods tend to be very high in sugars and carbohydrates, and our brains get fuzzy and our kids get more hyperactive when sugars and carbohydrates are eaten together. So don't do it. No fruit juices. They have too much sugar. Now, one small glass of apple juice has the sugar content of 8 apples. Now, later on, you can have some fruit juice, but for now, if you have to have fruit juice, just dilute it with water 50-50, okay? Try to cut sugar intake by 90%. If you can, cut it down to 0. Sugar's in just about everything, and it's really hard to cut it down to 0, but do your best to reduce your sugar intake without going crazy. Cut chocolate by 90%, no more than 1 piece in a week, okay? Cut it down. No NutraSweet. Never, ever, none, period. Don't do it. There are more complaints to the FDA about NutraSweet than any other kind of food additive. Headaches, brain fog, just don't do it. And no Splenda, none, period, never, ever. Just don't do these things. They are bad for you. They're bad for your brain. Don't do it. No processed meats. No MSG. Only get meats with labels that say things like turkey and water or something like that. If the meat has chemicals in it that you can't pronounce, don't buy it and don't eat it. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it, okay? Cut fried foods by 90%. And if you do eat fried foods, like French fries, you need to get some essential fatty acid supplementation when you get home. That would be those omega-3s, things like we'll talk about them in just a minute. But anyway, you need to do that because it's impacting your immune system as soon as you start eating them. Avoid food colorings whenever possible. See if your child's sensitive to any particular food coloring, such as reds or yellows or whatever. For now, during this first 2 weeks, just avoid all the food colorings that you can if possible. Avoid fish. Now, we hate to say this. It used to be a simple way to get the omega-3 fatty acids and so on, is by eating tuna fish and fish that you get from your local market. But the problem is that these days, the mercury levels in fish may simply be too high to be safe or healthy. Mercury is one of the most toxic metals on Earth, and it's a terrible neurotoxin. So until we really clean up oceans and rivers, just don't eat fish. I'm sorry. The mercury will get stored in the flesh or fats of the fish, not so much in the oil, so we'll talk about that. But you just don't do it for now. And look, my wife Susie suffered from mercury poisoning twice in her life, and it was terrible. So I've learned a lot about what mercury can do to a person, and I've seen it be really dangerous and really bad. So just be really careful, be very careful with mercury and other heavy metals, okay? So in summary, just eat foods that God made for a while. Eat like people did in the 1940s or the 1840s. Go to a used bookstore, get some good old cookbooks for recipe ideas. There really are about 10,000 things that you can eat. It's just there's not much way of fast foods that you can eat, or convenience foods. You're going to have to do some cooking now, and it'll be good for you. Now, after the first 2 weeks of the ADHD diet, begin adding these restricted foods back into your diet, one food every other day or so. And eat a lot of that food for about 4 days. If you have a problem with one of the foods, you'll see some kind of reaction like we talked about within the 4 days. So now here we go. Phase 2 of the ADHD diet, which is to eat lots of foods that will optimize the way that your ADHD brain works. Just as some foods will make the brain foggy, other foods can enhance and optimize brain performance. So here are some of the things that then you will want to eat in order to feed your brain, in order to feed the ADHD brain. For breakfast, serve high protein, low carbohydrate meals. So say goodbye to breakfast cereals and milk. Breakfast cereals are mostly carbohydrate and sugar, which is a bad combination for the ADHD brain. And some children are allergic to milk. So the classic American breakfast of cereal and milk is just a bad idea. Instead, serve 60 to 70% protein, 30 to 40% carbohydrates for breakfast. Eggs, breakfast meats, and toast, that would be fine. Other meals of the day could be 50% protein, 50% carbohydrate. That would be fine. Now, protein supplements might be needed to be added to your diet in order to get enough protein for breakfast and maybe through the day. And they're often pretty helpful for the afternoon. They can be pretty helpful for doing homework. So here's my favorite recipe for a protein shake. And I'd say try it, see if it works. Make a cup of coffee with a flavor that you or your child would like. And I know I'm breaking my rules here because these flavors have some sugar, but it's important to actually get your kid to drink the thing. So to get some caffeine mixed with the protein is what we're shooting for here, and that's what's really helpful. Pour the hot coffee into a blender with some ice. Turn on the blender for a minute, a second, whatever. Add a good quality protein powder. Now, there are a lot of good quality protein powders out there. If you can't just find one easily, ask at your local health food store. What you want to do is you want to get a protein powder that's mostly protein and very little carbohydrate. You'll see a lot of products that are sold out there as protein powders that are more carbohydrate than protein. You don't want those. Get something that's mostly protein, not so much carbohydrate. You want between 15 and 20 grams of protein to add to the coffee and then blend it up. Drink it up. The protein shake, it's really helpful for a lot of people. For many small kids, many adults, this recipe works about as well as a small dose of Ritalin. Now remember, 100 milligrams of caffeine is about the same as 5 milligrams of Ritalin, which is a small dose. It's a therapeutic dose for some smaller people or even adults, smaller kids. So this protein shake is potentially about as effective as small doses of Ritalin. So many who could take just a small dose of Ritalin and get away with it might be able to do this instead of taking the medication. Now don't forget that even caffeine can have some side effects, and people could be running to the bathroom way too much if they don't do well with the caffeine. So you have to watch for that. Once in a while we find somebody who just has problems with either caffeine or this protein shake, but it's not very common. Most of the time people see it as being pretty helpful. Help them to focus, help them to get their homework done quicker, help them to get through the afternoon, and so on. The protein just helps to feed the brain. The caffeine's a vasodilator, kind of opens up the blood vessels, lets more blood go into the brain. That's how stimulants work in general. So if you find this helpful, you want to have one with breakfast and one around 3 o'clock in the afternoon before you do your homework. If it's not helpful, don't do it. Don't bother with it. Now this is important. Drink lots of water. The brain is whatever, it's 80% water. And increasing your water intake to 7, 8, 9, 10 glasses a day might be very helpful all by itself. You need to know that sodas, Gatorade, sports drinks, whatever, do not count as water. Only water counts as water. To some people, mineral supplements are helpful. If you are inclined to do that, colloidal minerals or fully chelated minerals are the best. Don't buy minerals at the grocery store. Most of that will be money just flushed down the toilet. They're typically they're not that good. But get good minerals at your health food store. Get minerals that your body can actually assimilate and use, and it'll do a good thing for you. It'll help you. Now, it's no big surprise that I'm a big supporter of Attend and X-Stress, Memorin, Deprex from Voxa. They're good products. I did the research for Attend when it was back in the development stage back in 1996, and it works. It works for a lot of people. Doesn't work for everybody. Nobody works for everybody. I'm not sure everybody who's diagnosed ADHD actually has ADHD, which is why I think that things that work for most people with ADHD don't work for everybody, whether it's medication or EEG biofeedback or the Attend. And we recommend the Attend for everybody, no matter what type of ADHD they have. We talk about different types of ADD, ADHD on our website. We recommend X-Stress in addition for those who have problems with impulsivity or hyperactivity or temper problems. We recommend Memorin for those who have poor concentration or poor memory, people we call, Winnie the Pooh type ADHD or Space Cadet ADHD. Memorin can help them along with the Attend. I really like these products, and I recommend that people try them before they try prescription medications whenever they can. You can't always. Sometimes you have to try the prescription medications first. But whenever you can, I think it's good to try the alternatives like this diet and the Attend and so on and see if they work. I also recommend lots of essential fatty acids. And these can be added to your diet or even actually rubbed into the skin and absorbed in. Now, these are things like flaxseed oil, primrose oil, walnut oil. Walnut oil doesn't have any kind of smell to it. It's probably the best for, just rub it into your skin. You can probably find some other kind of bath or bed or whatever kind of place that sells those smelly things and see if they have some really good oils. Every once in a while you'll find a store that has some really great oils that are high in essential fatty acids, the omega-3s, omega-6s, in their oils that they can sell you, and you can rub those into your skin and your body will absorb them. Otherwise, you have to take them either in a caplet form or something like flaxseed oil. You can buy it in bulk and you can add it to your salads or any kind of a cold food. They don't do well if you use it in cooking, but they do well in cold food. So, a salad, no problem. You can mix it right in there. Highly filtered fish oils, they can work. I even heard that there's krill oil, and I'm trying that at home right now. Got some krill oil at the health food store. As long as the fish oil is distilled, as long as it's pure, they can guarantee you there's no mercury or other heavy metals in it. Okay, fine. These are all good sources of the omega oils, and what you're really looking for is a lot of omega-3s, because our diet tends to have a lot of omega-6s in the diet already. Now, these omega oils, they're very important, and your kids have got to have them. They're important for brain development, they're important for brain function, they're important for your eyes, they're important for your immune system, even for your skin and for your hair. And the problem is that there are many people who are deficient in these omega oils, deficient in these essential fatty acids, not just low, but deficient. And so there are all kinds of problems because of that. So anyway, mix a spoonful a day into your cold foods as you prepare them, add them to your salad dressings, or like we said, rub it into your skin, on your arms, on your back. It'll soak in, it'll be absorbed. Don't put the fish oil on your skin. You'll smell like tuna all day. Also, eat lots of raw fruits, lots of vegetables, foods that God made. Do your best to avoid aluminum exposure. It seems odd, but I mean, it's one of those metals that you don't want to be eating. So try not to wrap your food in aluminum foil. Try not to cook in aluminum foil. It's just better just not to do that, okay? You just don't want to have any exposure to any heavy metals. Now, These heavy metal exposures can come in the form of amalgam dental fillings, yes they can, which are up to 50% mercury, which is extremely toxic. 20% copper, it's also toxic. About 15% nickel, which is also toxic. Nickel is also common with dental braces and dental crowns. So you got to be careful with that. Cadmium is toxic. It's found in dental fillings, also in cigarette smoke as a secondhand issue. There are other toxic heavy metals that are found in pesticides and herbicides. Kind of stay away from the Roundup. Yeah, I live in a ranch. I got to spray Roundup all the time. That's why I'll probably die young, I guess. But I try to keep it away from my family. So anyway, watch out for those pesticides and herbicides. And now, of course, there's too much mercury in fish all over the world. So just be careful about that. And be aware of these environmental toxins. They can really cause serious problems. Do your very best to eat in a very healthy manner and try these recommendations out. Tell us what you think. Rediscover the lost art of cooking and enjoy what you get from this ADHD diet. This is Doug Cowan. You'll find everything right here at newideas.net.